The East African campaign during World War I, often overshadowed by the more prominent battles in Europe, was a complex and multifaceted conflict that unfolded in the vast landscapes of East Africa. This campaign saw British and Allied forces pitted against German colonial troops, primarily led by General Paul Von Lettow-Vorbeck, who utilized guerrilla tactics to great effect. The struggle was not just a military endeavor, it was also a battle for resources, territory, and influence in a region rich with strategic importance. Among the many theaters of this campaign, the battle over Lake Niassa stands out as a lesser-known yet significant front. Lake Niassa, now known as Lake Malawi, served as a crucial supply route and a strategic point for both sides. Its waters were vital for transportation and communication, making it a focal point in the struggle for dominance in East Africa. The lake's surrounding areas were not only rich in natural resources, but also provided a unique geographical advantage that both the British and Germans sought to control. The conflict around Lake Niassa was characterized by its challenging terrain, dense jungles, and the harsh realities of tropical warfare, which added layers of complexity to the military operations. What makes this front particularly intriguing is the interplay of local populations, wildlife, and the environment, which influenced the tactics employed by both sides. The battle over Lake Niassa was not merely a clash of armies. It was a contest that involved local tribes who were often caught in the crossfire, and the natural landscape, which shaped the course of the conflict. This unique aspect of the East African campaign highlights how global conflicts can have localized impacts, intertwining the fates of soldiers and civilians alike. As we delve deeper into this lesser-known front, we uncover stories of resilience, strategy, and the profound effects of war on both the land and its people, inviting viewers to appreciate the complexities of this historical conflict that often remains in the shadows of the Great War. The East African campaign during World War I unfolded within a broader context of colonial ambitions and geopolitical maneuvering, involving a diverse array of colonial troops from Britain, Belgium, Portugal, and Germany. Each of these nations sought to expand their influence in Africa, and the war provided a unique opportunity to assert dominance over rival colonial powers. British forces, primarily composed of soldiers from India and Africa, were tasked with countering the German colonial troops, who were adept at utilizing the local terrain to their advantage. Meanwhile, Belgian and Portuguese forces contributed to the conflict, each motivated by their own colonial interests and the desire to secure their territories against German encroachment. The geographical scope of the East African campaign was staggering, encompassing vast regions that were larger than France, Germany, and England combined. This immense area included diverse landscapes from dense jungles to arid plateaus, which posed significant challenges for military operations. The sheer size of the conflict meant that logistics and supply lines became critical factors in determining the success of military strategies. The strategic importance of diverting resources during the war cannot be overstated. As European powers were heavily engaged in the trenches of the Western Front, the East African campaign served as a distraction, drawing attention and resources away from the primary theaters of war. This diversion allowed German forces, under the command of General Paul Von Lettow-Vorbeck, to conduct a prolonged guerrilla campaign, effectively tying down Allied troops and resources that could have been deployed elsewhere. The implications of this campaign extended beyond military engagements. It also highlighted the complexities of colonial rule and the interplay between local populations and foreign powers. The conflict often exacerbated existing tensions among indigenous communities, as they were caught between the competing interests of colonial forces. Ultimately, the East African Campaign serves as a poignant reminder of how global conflicts can reshape local dynamics, revealing the intricate connections between colonialism, warfare, and the struggle for power in a rapidly changing world. This campaign not only altered the course of the war, but also left lasting legacies in the region, influencing post-war colonial policies and the future of East Africa. Lake Niassa, known today as Lake Malawi, holds significant importance in the East African Campaign of World War I due to its unique geographical features and strategic location. Nestled between modern-day Malawi, Mozambique, and Tanzania, the lake spans approximately 580 kilometers in length and is one of the largest and deepest lakes in Africa. Its expansive waters and surrounding landscapes provided both opportunities and challenges for military operations. Control of Lake Niassa was crucial for troop movements and supply lines, as it served as a vital transportation route for both British and German forces. The lake facilitated the movement of troops, equipment, and supplies, allowing for quicker deployment and resupply efforts. The British aimed to secure the lake to disrupt German operations and maintain their logistical advantage, while the Germans sought to leverage the lake's resources to sustain their guerrilla warfare tactics. However, the region's remoteness posed significant challenges for both sides. The dense jungles, rugged terrain, and limited infrastructure made it difficult to establish reliable supply routes. Troops often faced arduous conditions, including harsh weather, disease, and the threat of ambushes from enemy forces. The limited resources available in the area further complicated military efforts, as both sides struggled to maintain adequate supplies of food, ammunition, and medical care. The isolation of the region meant that reinforcements and supplies were often delayed, impacting the effectiveness of military strategies. Additionally, the local population, caught in the crossfire of the conflict, faced their own hardships as their resources were depleted and communities disrupted by the ongoing warfare. The significance of Lake Niassa in the East African Campaign extends beyond its geographical features. It symbolizes the broader struggle for control and dominance in a region marked by colonial ambitions. The battle for the lake exemplified the interplay between geography and military strategy, illustrating how control of key locations could influence the outcome of larger conflicts. Ultimately, Lake Niassa emerged as a focal point in the East African Campaign, shaping the dynamics of troop movements and supply lines while highlighting the challenges inherent in conducting warfare in such a remote and resource-limited environment. The first naval battle of World War I at Lake Niassa, which took place on August 16, 1914, marked a pivotal moment in the East African Campaign, showcasing the strategic importance of this remote theater of war. Central to this conflict were two key vessels, the German gunboat SMS Hermann von Wissmann and the British steamer SS Gwendolen. The Hermann von Wissmann, a well-armed vessel, was tasked with enforcing German control over the lake and disrupting Allied supply lines. In contrast, the Gwendolen, initially a civilian steamer, was repurposed by the British to transport troops and supplies, making it a vital asset in their efforts to secure the region. The initial conditions leading up to the battle were characterized by heightened tensions and strategic maneuvering. The Germans, under the command of General Paul Von Lettow-Vorbeck, recognized the need to maintain control over Lake Niassa to support their guerrilla operations and disrupt British advances. Meanwhile, the British sought to assert dominance over the lake to facilitate troop movements and secure vital supply routes. As both sides prepared for confrontation, strategic decisions were made that would shape the course of the battle. The British aimed to use the Gwendolen to patrol the waters and challenge German supremacy, while the Germans planned to leverage the firepower of the Hermann von Wissmann to defend their interests. The ensuing naval engagement was significant not only for its immediate tactical implications, but also for its broader context within the overall war effort. The battle underscored the importance of naval power in the East African campaign, illustrating how control of waterways could influence land operations. The outcome of the battle had ramifications beyond Lake Niassa, as it affected troop morale and resource allocation for both sides. For the British, securing a victory would bolster their efforts to dominate the region and disrupt German supply lines, while for the Germans, maintaining control of the lake was essential for sustaining their guerrilla tactics. Ultimately, the naval battle at Lake Niassa exemplified the interconnectedness of land and naval warfare during World War I, highlighting how even remote theaters could play a crucial role in the larger conflict. This engagement not only shaped the dynamics of the East African campaign, but also reflected the strategic complexities faced by both colonial powers in their quest for dominance. The naval engagement at Lake Niassa culminated in a decisive British victory, significantly altering the balance of power in the region and impacting the broader East African campaign. The successful operation of the Gwendolen against the German gunboat Hermann von Bischmann not only established British naval dominance on the lake, but also disrupted German supply lines and communication routes. This victory allowed the British to secure control over Lake Niassa, which was vital for transporting troops and resources, thereby enhancing their operational capabilities in the region. Following this naval engagement, the British forces capitalized on their newfound control of the lake to launch subsequent military actions aimed at consolidating their position in East Africa. The victory at Lake Niassa enabled the British to increase troop deployments and improve logistical support for their ground operations against German forces. With the lake secured, British commanders could more effectively coordinate their strategies, leading to a series of offensives that aimed to push German troops further into retreat. This shift in strategy was crucial, as it allowed the British to apply pressure on General Von Lettow-Vorbeck's forces, who were already stretched thin and reliant on the lake for supplies. The implications of the British victory extended beyond immediate military advantages. It also played a significant role in boosting British morale during a time when the war was marked by numerous challenges and setbacks on other fronts. The successful engagement at Lake Niassa served as a much-needed morale booster for British troops and the home front, demonstrating that victories were still achievable even in distant theaters of war. This sense of accomplishment helped to reinforce public support for the war effort and provided a narrative of resilience against the backdrop of a protracted conflict. Furthermore, the victory at Lake Niassa highlighted the importance of naval power in securing territorial control and influencing land operations, reinforcing the notion that success in one theater could have far-reaching effects on the overall war effort. Ultimately, the British victory at Lake Niassa not only solidified their control over the region, but also underscored the interconnectedness of naval and land strategies in the broader context of World War I, shaping the course of the East African campaign and contributing to the eventual Allied success in the war. The East African campaign during World War I had profound and far-reaching consequences for local populations, significantly altering the social, economic, and environmental landscape of the region. The human cost of the campaign was staggering, with thousands of native troops conscripted into service by both British and German forces. Many local men were recruited to fight, often with little choice, leading to significant casualties among these troops. The toll on the indigenous population extended beyond the battlefield, as the war disrupted traditional livelihoods and communities, resulting in widespread suffering and loss. The impact of the war on local communities was multifaceted. As military operations intensified, many villages were caught in the crossfire, leading to displacement and destruction. The influx of troops and the establishment of military camps strained local resources, causing shortages of food and essential supplies. Additionally, the presence of foreign soldiers introduced new diseases to which local populations had little immunity, exacerbating the health crisis in the region. The environmental consequences of the conflict were also significant. The movement of troops and the establishment of supply lines led to deforestation and degradation of the land, as natural resources were exploited to support military efforts. The war disrupted agricultural practices, leading to food insecurity and famine in some areas, further compounding the hardships faced by local communities. The long-lasting effects of the East African Campaign on the region's demographics were profound. The loss of life among native troops and civilians altered population structures, with some communities experiencing significant declines. The war also led to shifts in social dynamics, as women and children were left to manage households and farms in the absence of men who had gone to fight. This change in gender roles had lasting implications for the social fabric of the region. Furthermore, the campaign set the stage for future conflicts and tensions, as the colonial powers' exploitation of local resources and people sowed seeds of resentment that would resonate for decades. The legacy of the East African Campaign is thus marked by a complex interplay of human suffering, environmental degradation, and demographic shifts, illustrating how global conflicts can have deep and lasting impacts on local populations. As the region emerged from the war, it faced the daunting task of rebuilding and reconciling the scars left by the conflict, shaping its trajectory for years to come. In this video, we explored the significant role of Lake Niassa in the East African Campaign during World War I, highlighting its strategic importance and the naval battle that unfolded there. The engagement between the British steamer SS Gwendolen and the German gunboat SMS Hermann von Wissmann marked a pivotal moment in the conflict, showcasing how control of this vital waterway influenced troop movements and supply lines. The British victory not only established naval dominance in the region, but also had far-reaching implications for the overall war effort, boosting morale and enabling subsequent military actions against German forces. We also delved into the broader consequences of the East African Campaign, particularly its impact on local populations. The human cost was immense, with significant casualties among native troops and widespread suffering among communities caught in the crossfire. The environmental degradation and disruption of traditional livelihoods further compounded the challenges faced by the region, leaving lasting effects on demographics and social structures. It is crucial to remember these lesser-known historical events, as they provide valuable insights into the complexities of global conflicts and their far-reaching consequences. By acknowledging the experiences of those who lived through these times, we can better understand the intricate tapestry of history that shapes our present. We encourage you to engage with this content by subscribing to our channel, liking this video, and sharing it with others who may be interested in learning more about the often overlooked aspects of World War I and its impact on regions like East Africa. Your support helps us continue to create informative and engaging content that sheds light on important historical narratives. Join us as we explore more fascinating stories from the past, uncovering the hidden chapters of history that deserve recognition and remembrance. Together, we can ensure that the lessons learned from these events are not forgotten, fostering a deeper appreciation for the complexities of our shared history. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to bringing you more insightful content in the future.